of the said video recordings, including but not limited to any claims of invasion of privacy, appropriation of likeness, or defamation. Welcome again to Leadership Speak, an advanced Toastmasters club for leadership development. We are the top club globally. I am your Sergeant at Arms for today's meeting, Marcella Santoma.
Hang a second, Marcella. You should ask for the recording to be put on before you go ahead.
Sorry about that. Leadership Speak is the prepared club for
Hang a second.
experience.
Start again. Start again.
Oh.
After the recording is
Oh.
All right. Now you can.
Thank you. Good day, everyone. I am Marcella Santoma from the beautiful island of St. Lucia in the Caribbean. Today, I will be your Sergeant at Arms. You are asked to, or reminded to please turn off all your electronic devices. Dear members, and especially our visitors and guests, hope you are ready for our exciting meeting today. Okay. I will now read the disclaimer for Leadership Speak. By attending the remote Zoom meeting event, which is also live streamed on YouTube, you agree to the public policy of Toastmasters International, as well as the unassociated remote hosting service. Some of your personal information, such as name, image, and any shared messages will be recorded. Your remote attendance hereby discharges Toastmasters International and Leadership Speak and or any of its members from all claims, demands, rights, promises, damages, and liabilities arising out of or in any connection with the use of or distribution of said video recordings, including but not limited to any claims for invasion of privacy, appropriation of likeness, or defamation. Welcome again to Leadership Speak, an advanced Toastmasters club for leadership development. We are the top club globally. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. The leadership statement. Leadership Speak is the premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directors. We are an advanced club focused primarily on the leadership development in everything we do. Our timer is reminded to use the raise hand so everyone can, especially the speakers. Thank you. So, who will lead our meeting this evening? This evening, our Toastmaster of the evening is Nicole. Just a minute, sorry. Just need to get to it. Right. Our
We can go ahead with,
Toastmaster.
it's okay, we can go ahead with Nicole. She's already on the screen there, so thank you.
Okay, I read a brief introduction for Nicole Miller. Nicole's goal is to achieve her distinguished Toastmaster status in the next Toastmasters year 2025 to 2026. She values feedback and is confident that the invaluable feedback from her fellow club members will play a vital role in her journey to this specific goal, and that she will increase her impactfulness as a leader outside of Toastmasters. Everyone, Toastmasters and guests, let us welcome Nicole Miller with a round of applause to the lectern. Over to
Good
you.
morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time of day it is for you. Feedback. Feedback is a heartbeat of effective leadership, vital for growth and development. It fosters open communication, encourages trust, and helps leaders understand their team needs and perspectives. By actively seeking and providing feedback, leaders can create a culture of continuous improvement where everyone feels valued and heard. Feedback empowers self-directed leaders and is essential for personal and professional growth. It allows them to reflect on their strengths and areas for improvement, fostering a mindset of lifelong learning. By embracing feedback, these leaders can adapt their strategies, inspire their teams, and drive innovation. Ultimately, cultivating a feedback-rich environment empowers leaders to navigate challenges confidently, lead authentically, and thrive in a rapidly changing world. Toastmasters envision feedback as essential for communication and leadership growth. By fostering a supportive environment, the organization encourages members to practice giving feedback and receiving feedback, thereby empowering individuals to refine their skills, build their confidence, and become competent leaders. At Leadership Speak, we believe that feedback is a catalyst for transformative growth. Our club thrives on the open exchange of constructive analysis, empowering members to enhance their performance and become impactful leaders in the real world. Let's explore the vital role of feedback, which fuels growth and development in your leadership journey. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I now invite Toastmaster Baron, who will raise a toast to our theme today, leading a culture of feedback. Toastmaster Baron.
As we gather here today, Toastmasters and guests, it's imperative that we remember the first essence of how we learn in Toastmasters. In Toastmasters, we do not learn by sitting and having lecture sessions. We do not learn by getting a different approach of learning, pedagogy or different ways. We learn by doing. In this doing, we stand up, deliver our speeches, or it might not be a speech, it might be leadership. You step up and you take on a task. You could go through it all and never evaluate what your performance looked like. And that's where the quote comes in. An unexamined life is a life not worth living. The essence of feedback is that we do not only use it to receive, but also to be able to help other members grow. That means you give feedback and you receive feedback. But at its core, feedback is not just a word, it is a tool through which we lead. My fellow leaders, I would like for you to all look at this. How do we grow? How do we excel without getting feedback on our performances? Without having this one tool that assists to create the safe space in which we all feel that the culture of leadership can improve in all our lives, in all our spaces. I call upon all of us today to toast to feedback. Toastmasters and guests, if you have a glass next to you, please raise it and let's toast to leading a culture of feedback. To leading a culture of feedback.
Leading a culture of feedback.
Yeah, with that.
Culture of feedback.
Feedback is the breakfast of champions. Indeed, thank you for that, Toastmaster Baran. And now we will hear from our timer as she explained the importance of her role in giving us feedback in the form of time used.
Toastmaster of the day. Yeah, as a timer, I will be timing all the speeches and the evaluation as per the agenda, as indicated in the agenda, with the green background and with yellow background and the red background. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
There you have it. You'll be getting feedback in terms of the time taken. And now we will hear from our grammarian, Toastmaster Zinga. Please help us understand your role in helping us today.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, as grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I'll take note of any improper language as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or songs. As grammarian, it is also my duty to introduce the word of the day. For today's meeting, the word is synopsis, which means a brief or condensed statement giving a general view of some subject. An example of using the word is the conclusion provides a good synopsis of the main ideas. Each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day. I'll give the grammarian report when called upon during the meeting and also report on the usage of the word of the day. Thank you, dear Toastmaster of the day.
Now, we'll be hearing from our leadership speak educator for today. We look forward to getting information that will allow us to get the kind of feedback that can assist us in doing better. Tony is a distinguished Toastmaster and a past District 86 governor for the year 2013 to 2014. He is a business consultant involved in legal, HR, and management issues. While Tony is committed to a collaborative approach in conflict resolution, he often deals with adversarial situations. In these cases, Tony believes that a person must be relevant and influential, but especially persuasive. His presentation will cover some ideas based on his experiences. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, please help me to welcome Tony.
Wow, thank you very much, Nicole, for that encouraging introduction. Hello, everyone. My presentation is a wrap-up of my dynamic leadership pathway. And the thing about dynamic leadership is dynamic. It never stops. So it's always in movement. So therefore, this may be my last presentation in dynamic leadership, but of course, dynamic leadership never stops for any of us. This presentation is a synopsis, not just of my pathway and the speeches I gave, but also about life, the journey, and especially in this case, with this presentation, during the last 20 years of my life as a father, husband, business consultant, member of Toastmasters, volunteer member of organizations, just life. Because we all, need to keep on growing. The feedback is absolutely critical, and I invite you to provide feedback at any time. As Beran said, feedback is the essence of evaluating performance. And those are kind of my words. So I would now like to share my presentation, and I will please, could please turn on the sharing, please. And as the sharing is being turned on, I invite you to add comments if you wish. It could be privately or it could be openly. And I will try to share again. Here we go. Here's my PowerPoint. Okay. Oops. I'm trying to find my PowerPoint. It should be there. Try it again. Here we go, right there. All right. Bingo. Okay, and start in the beginning. Purpose of my presentation is provide a message that is relevant to you. You're the audience. You're important. You're the most important part of this presentation. I will provide 3 stories and then 4 steps on how persuasion can be practically applied in what we do in life. Now, it's important to ground persuasion in credibility. I always favor citing my sources. In this case, here is a synopsis from Warren Buffett, who is the chair and chief executive officer of Berkshire Hathaway, a huge business conglomerate. And you may have heard of Warren Buffett. Yeah. Here's a quote: "Learning to speak persuasively is an asset that will last a lifetime or become a liability if you don't like doing it." And this quote was one of Warren Buffett's quotes that was used in a preface to a book, a seminal book on TED Talks by Carmen Gallo, an author that Brahm actually has referred to in one of his challenges that he is, global challenges that he has provided. I am a MBA candidate in a school in the United States, and Warren Buffett is a contributor to some lectures. And I remember one he gave a couple years ago where he said that one of the things that he wished he learned earlier in life was to be more persuasive. So this is a fairly strong endorsement of being persuasive from a successful person, not just in business, but in life. Now, according to Toastmasters International, there's 4 purposes to a speech, and we can use one or a number of them. And that is, as you can see, to entertain, to inform, to inspire, and to persuade. And I ask you to consider that during my presentation and any of yours, which one of these or which ones of these that my presentation will follow through on. Now, I'm going to ask you another question. You know, when you listen to a great speech and you say to yourself, wow, that was inspirational. Or maybe you laughed and said, hey, that was funny, that was entertaining. Or I learned something. Have you ever told yourself, wow, that persuaded me? Because, I've never come across that myself very often. I've hardly ever said to myself, wow, I am persuaded by that speaker's presentation. But yet, why is that one of the 4 key purposes of giving a speech? And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you. It's also criteria for feedback. As you listen to my presentation and the others during today's meeting, you could also use the purposes of a speech as a criteria for feedback. As I give my presentation on persuasion, it doesn't mean I'm trying to persuade you. Perhaps I'm trying to provide other purposes. And that's up to you to decide. And please let me know. Please give me your feedback if you wish. Now, we attribute the modes of persuasion to a fellow named Aristotle, and I know most of us, we should all have heard of him. He never came up with these ideas. He simply wrote about them. And, his book was on his shelf when we found it. But these ideas were around for like 1,000 years before Aristotle was. Ethos, pathos, and logos, which in my descriptions are character, emotion, and logic. Those themselves are synopsis. And a good speech or a presentation that is persuasive has to incorporate these modes of persuasion. I'm going to share a story, first of 3, on how persuasion was effective. In this case, persuasion saved 1 million people. I have given this story before in Toastmasters and in this club, and it's something that really got to me when I was a kid. I was sitting in a library at lunch hour, and I came across this story, and I thought it was fictional, but it was factual. And it was about something that happened in the year 452 AD in Italy. Attila the Hun, at the head of a massive army of horsemen, warriors, had the intention of destroying everything that was Roman, everything that was Italian. And they came down into Italy, and they were just destroying, killing, slaughtering, wiping everything out. They were not only just, killing people, they were salting the lands, they were poisoning the water wells, killing all the animals. They wanted to destroy what was left of the Roman Empire. That was their intention. And as they made their way down to a place called Mantua, which is not far from Rome, Attila the Hun, who described himself in marketing terms as the scourge of God, was about to realize his destiny, because within reach was the city of Rome with 1 million people, and he and his Huns were going to kill them all and dismantle the entire city right down to the ground. It was a lifelong ambition, and he was about to realize it. One man came out, with his little entourage of assistants, and it was Pope Leo I. No, there's no armies. The politicians were gone. It was just this man. He happened to be the Pope, not the Catholic Church. That's not that relevant, except he was the man of God versus the scourge of God. So it was a bit dramatic there. And that actually amused Attila the Hun. And Attila figured, there's no harm. I'm going to listen to what he says. After all, Attila reflected, I did meet this fellow a number of years ago. So let's see what he has to say now. And they spoke, and they talked, and actually they talked for a couple of days. So they were talking about something. And at the conclusion of the talks, Attila jumped on his horse, turned around, and took his army back home. And I was shocked as a kid, like, what did this fellow say? What was discussed? What persuaded this bloody butcher to turn around and go home? History does not tell us what was discussed. There is a quote from one of Attila's aides, who Attila, upon being asked why they were going home, said, "I will fight the lion, but I will not fight the leal." Now, if that's not true, it's still a useful concept. Leal in Latin means lion, so it was a good play on words. Persuasion at work saved 1 million people, saved the civilization, but persuasion is effective in history and in life. My next story is about business. This story is not well known, but it is a very important story. It started in the 1980s. In October of 1987, a gentleman named Paul O'Neill became the chief executive officer of a company called Alcoa, which had a lot of aluminum factories throughout the world, and things were not going well. The company was not very profitable, it was losing money, and its safety standards were very poor. Its workers were dying. They were having accidents, fatal accidents, every week in every factory throughout the world. And this gentleman, Paul O'Neill, became the chief executive officer, and he had a meeting in Wall Street in October of 1987. Instead of talking all the business terms about maximizing shareholders' profits, talking about the ratios, the liquidity ratios, the earnings per share, no, he would not talk about it. Instead, what he said is, we are based on safety. Our goal will to become the safest manufacturer in the world. Now, this turned off all the investors, and they were scared. They were thinking this, and actually, there's you can see on the screen in the yellowish color book written by this author named Charles Duhigg about this example of Alcoa. He wrote about an investor in that meeting who ran to the phone and called all his clients and said, sell your shares of Alcoa. They hired a hippie. That's the word was used. A hippie to run this company, and it's going to go down. All they talk about is safety. They won't talk about anything else. And their panic hit the investors. That same investor later confessed that was the worst mistake he made in his career, because the genius of that concept was to follow procedures and habits. You see, from the title of the book, The Power of Habit, what we do in life and business, changed how everybody dealt with business concepts and life in that business. And Alcoa became extremely successful. Anybody who did not sell their shares at that moment realized a 5-fold increase in the value of their shares, because there was so much reciprocation from all the stakeholders, not shareholders, stakeholders, in the values that a corporation can bring to life, not just business. The unions favored the safety issues. The shareholders realized that there was more cooperation, and the consumers bought into it. Now, that led to a phenomenon known as social license, which is in effect today. How many corporations, including Google, Microsoft, and others, take social license as the ability to operate in society with society's consent and trust. My point here is persuasion. How this all started with one man, one person who persuaded people to change the way they did habits in life and business. Words that were persuasive. I have a personal story. We all have personal stories, and I left this page blank because you can put your story in here if you wish. About 15 years ago, when I was sort of getting into my business consultancy, I found myself in a courtroom pleading a case. And it was a very bad situation for the company I was working for. We were under attack by a father-son team of investigators from a government agency. You know, Canada has a good government. Many countries have a good government, but there's always people who, you know, don't follow the rules. And to have a father and son on the same team, same investigation team, doesn't tend to bode well. And they were on the attack, and we were being slaughtered. So I filed a lawsuit to actually get things, you know, turned around. And I blew it. I did not prepare properly. I tried. I just did not have the experience or the knowledge. And I found myself standing in front of a judge, and opposing me was a very experienced government lawyer. And I was embarrassed. And the judge finally said to me, he took off his glasses and he said to me, "Mr. Bracich, why should I listen to you? Talk about a table topic." But that wasn't the dilemma, actually. That was a solution. Because at that time, I was a Toastmaster for 3 years. So I had some experience. And what came to my head, through all the panic and all the fear, was one sentence. "Your Honor, I have a story to tell." You know, sometimes you just don't come out with the right thing. And I know I don't, but that time I did. Because the judge said, "Oh, that could be interesting. Tell me your story." And I told him the story. And I won. I should have lost, but I won. I was persuasive. And that led to a legacy of dozens of motions and court hearings. And finally, this month, 15 years later, they're going to schedule a trial date for the big story. I was persuasive with the story. The 4 steps for us to convey persuasion. This synopsis was provided to us by a college professor from California in a seminal article in the Harvard Business Review in 1998. And you can see a clipping there. And those are the 4 steps. And actually, you might notice that it's very similar to the modes of persuasion that Aristotle was presenting to us, except in this Harvard Business Review article, it went into much more detail. And you can Google it. The professor's name is Jay Conger. And there he states about establishing credibility, which is the ethos of Aristotle's rhetorical arguments. Frame common ground, relevance, framing common ground that you and I can understand. And the third point was evidence through stories, which you understand is what I've been trying to convey here. And then connect emotionally. So the first point of these 4 steps is the ethos. And the third step is perhaps the argument, the logos. And the 4th step is connecting emotionally, which is the pathos. So as much as things have changed, they have not changed. The modes of persuasion throughout the millennia has essentially remained the same. But of course, with our methods of connectivity and communication, we're able to expand upon them. Why is persuasion important to leadership? Well, we're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and that was actually produced in 1943. And since then, a lot of people have said, you know, there's different ideas, better ideas. But what most people miss out on is the context of Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. It fits into a context that there's got to be leadership in the first place, leadership with an infrastructure. So the hierarchy of human needs fits once there is leadership and a hierarchy in place. Now the proper context is provided. It's innate human nature, according to Maslow, to defer to authority, to leadership. We all want leaders. We sometimes need to be leaders, and sometimes we need leaders to lead us. But we have to have a hierarchy. After all, our club has officers. We're all part of society. We all have different structures in place. And it's just like part of our tribal nature of human beings that we seek hierarchy. And then, as per Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we focus on our interests as per Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So leadership is needed, and persuasion is a big part of leadership. Throughout our journey together in Leadership Speak, many of us have exchanged ideas about about leadership styles. And, there's no one's wrong. This is the second time I'm providing this list of 6. It comes from a psychologist named Daniel Goleman, who in the 1990s coined the expression of emotional intelligence. And he stated that there's 6 types of leadership. And the key thing about leadership is you got to shift through them accordingly. And good leaders will be able to master at least 4 of these types of leaderships when needed, as needed. And leadership always must include somewhere along the line persuasion. The essence of persuasion. As Baron talked about the essence of feedback, which every leader needs, the essence of persuasion is the spreading of ideas, which is single most important output of our civilization. And this quote came from a leading marketer named Seth Godin. And it applies to not just marketing, but everything. We share ideas. I'm trying to share an idea with you, and you're going to be sharing ideas with us. And we've been doing that for a long time. So it may or may not be the single most important output of a civilization, but it's up there. So it is important. I'm going to go back to Warren Buffett, back to the same preface for the same book, where he said, about persuasion. There is one skill that will boost your professional value by 50%. The skill is public speaking. I recall an interview where he talked about this, how important public speaking was. That's down our alley, isn't it? The author also put a quote into his preface. A great public speaker is inspiring, irresistible, and irreplaceable. And I propose to you that we could actually, remove those words public speaker and put leader. A leader is inspiring, irresistible, and irreplaceable. These quotes are grounded in credibility. The art of persuasion, I submit to you, is to tell stories. Now, there's a lot more to it than that, of course. How we tell the stories, are they relevant? And as leaders, do we improve our storytelling with feedback? Because otherwise, how can we? How can we improve in anything, including leadership, if we do not get feedback? As I showed this screen earlier, the purposes of speeches is to entertain, inform, inspire, and persuade. And I hope I've done maybe one of these things in this presentation. Please give me feedback if you can. And finally, I invite you to once again look upon the name of our club, Leadership Speak. Doesn't that say something? Leadership Speak. And finally, doesn't that say everything? Leadership Speak. That's us. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
I absolutely loved that. Persuasion, sink or swim. That was the title of Tony's presentation. Thank you so much. I'm sure we have a lot to think about after hearing Tony's presentation. Now we will be hearing from Toastmaster Hannah. And Toastmaster Hannah's speech has certain objectives which will be shared by her evaluator. Please help me welcome at this time Toastmasters Hannah evaluator.
Hannah will speak from the Dynamic Leadership Path, Level 1, Project 1. It's an icebreaker to introduce herself to this advanced club. Because in a community club, she would have already introduced herself, but she'll introduce herself to this advanced club. Madam Toastmaster.
That is me by Toastmaster Hannah. Toastmaster Hannah, that is me. The virtual lectern is yours. Excuse me, Toastmaster Hannah, you're muted. There you go.
My brother David and I were extremely fortunate to grow up on a farm. As siblings, we were like twins. We were as free as the birds and understood that happiness was ours to enjoy. We had our differences of opinion, yes, like anybody else, yet we settled them promptly and swiftly. Then tragedy struck. My brother died, leaving me devastated and shattered. Madam Toastmaster, at school and at boarding school, I was envious of those children that had siblings they could talk to. I became introverted and withdrawn. I put all my energy into athletics and tennis, sports disciplines that I could excel on my own without a teammate. I had to prove to myself that the only person I should be competing with is myself. Be dynamic in whatever I can do best on my own. Team collaboration, those words, they disappeared from my vocabulary. They were non-existent. I also applied for employment positions where I could sidestep contact with the outside world and with my staff members. I felt like a pearl in an oyster, waiting to open up, waiting to be released, waiting to find that me. Fast forward. After a parenting break and raising 5 children, my world, that so-called oyster, opened up. That pearl started shining. With all these birthday parties for my children, I gradually grasped and realized how exciting, how stimulating it is to again meet and connect with others. To be dynamic or be a dynamic parent required for me to cope with this crowd of adolescents. In my days, they were called teeny boppers. Yet, I was still extremely hesitant to speak in front of an audience and to take up leadership roles. Ken Blanchard had these wonderful words. It has been true in life that whenever I needed a mentor, the right person shows up. And Jessica showed up. Jessica, now a very good friend of mine, came to my rescue. She invited me to Toastmasters, an organization where I would learn how to communicate correctly and how to lead, how to find that me. At first, I was very hesitant. Yet I joined Toastmasters and I never looked back. Our mentor-mentee relationship blossomed. Jessica mentored me and I triumphed over my lack of confidence. As VPE of my home club, I onboarded members to the club and assisted them in reaching also their top. My division director noticed the potential of dynamic leadership in me and assigned me as an area director. Yet, I realized that I needed to grow and develop myself. I became dynamic and I have completed my TTM project. Since 2020, the laptop has opened another exhilarating world for me, that of traveling virtually and visiting Toastmasters via Zoom. I have set myself the target of visiting as many Toastmaster clubs as I can. And after a multitude of online travels, I have landed in Canada and I have joined Leadership Speak. Connecting with the members has assisted me in placing the words team collaboration back into my vocabulary. Thanks to Jessica. Thanks for letting me stand on her shoulders, so to speak. From that moment when my oyster opened, when I joined Toastmaster, nothing, but nothing could stop me from progressing towards where I am today. A dynamic power in leadership. That is me. Madam Toastmaster.
That is me, Hannah, free as a bird. Please feel free right here at Leadership Speak to share your feedback. We welcome it. It's important to our growth. We will now hear from our second speaker, who will be evaluated by Toastmaster Sandra. Our second speaker is Toastmaster Mohammed. And Toastmaster Mohammed is going to be introduced by Toastmaster Sandra in terms of his expectation of today's presentation. Toastmaster Sandra.
Thank you. Let me see here. This was, did you say Asif or Azim? I'm on for Azim here. Azim today is presenting a speech from Dynamic Leadership, Level 5. He's actually going to reflect on the path, which is really a wonderful synopsis of what occurred during his whole journey through Dynamic Leadership. This will complete the path for him and include the progress made, the skills learned and developed, as well as a celebration of the achievement in a style that supports the speech content. Over to you, Nicole.
Reflections on my Toastmaster journey. Toastmaster Mohammed. Toastmaster Mohammed, reflection on my Toastmaster's journey. The virtual lectern is yours.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. So have you ever heard, once a Toastmaster, always a Toastmaster? Leaders, guests from all over the world, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I heard this in 2006, first time in my life. My VP Education always inviting me to join the Toastmaster meeting as a guest. But I was always finding excuses. But that day, I couldn't find any excuse. So I arrived at the meeting room. I was just standing in front of the meeting hall. The door was closed, and there was 2 bulbs on the top of the door. One was the red, The other one was green. So when I reached there, the red bulb was glowing on. And I was standing in front of that red bulb and thinking, this is my last chance. I returned home safe with the excuse of that red bulb. But immediately the red bulb switched off, green on, and somebody opened the door and almost pulled me in the room. And what I saw inside, in front of me, there was a stage. And on the left side, there was an entrance door. So I entered in it. And when I entered, at the same moment, everyone started applauding me. Their applaud was to the stage, but their face was turning to me. So I considered it that it was really a very warm welcome to me. So I was excited at that moment. And to respond their applaud, I started, thank you, thank you, thank you. And sometimes I raised my voice, thank you, to reach to the last row. Suddenly, the man came to me and sit down, sit down, sit down. I started feeling embarrassing at that moment. Just a moment before, you applauded me for coming in the hall, and now you are embarrassing me. But next moment, I started feeling normal, because the same person also went to the other two persons who were talking to each other with the same. And then he realized this is the culture here. At the end of the meeting, I joined Toastmaster, and my learning started. At that time, the Toastmaster was following the old system of education, and that was the basic communication manual and advanced communication manual. In the basic communication manual, starting from the icebreaker to the competent communicator. So I learned a lot from there. How to say it, how to come to the point, how to use body movement and voice modulation in the speech, and how to motivate the people, and finally, how to inspire the audience. So I completed 9 projects, and then my team, the club, decided to organize a very great meeting in a hotel and invite so many people from the community, because this was the first milestone that I was going to achieve. So many people were invited in the hall, almost 100 people, because there was the chief guest, the ambassador of my country himself there. So the meeting was a high-profile meeting. So I had a very good practice of my presentation. I started my presentation, and it was about the demise of the martyrdom of my father in 1971. So the story had the touch of the agony of a war, the emotional attachment of a father and son, and the determination that a son had at the death of his father to fight back and find his way to success. At the end of the meeting, as per the culture of feedback, the people started coming to me and giving me feedback. And that feedback is still kept me in Toastmaster. Very soon, the Pathways education system started, and I became the trainer of Pathways. So I started giving training to the members. And the one thing that I liked in Pathway is the 5 levels of organization of the teachings and learnings, starting from the very fundamental to demonstrating the expertise, how we reach to that level where we demonstrate expertise, you need to learn your own communication and leadership styles, and then increase your knowledge in your leadership and communication styles. Go to the next level and improve your skills. And once all these four you achieve, then you will demonstrate the expertise in that subject. And that I learned from there. And it is not only in Toastmaster, even in my personal and professional life, I think that this works well. So in Toastmaster, in Pathways, I learned communication skills. It is very interesting to say that most of the people all over the world, they are not the English-speaking people. English is the second language, and they express themselves in English. So they feel some difficulties. Even English is your first language. You need to learn the communication skills, speaking skills to speak. And that I learned from Toastmasters. Even you are having English as the second language, you cannot dream in English. You dream in your own mother tongue, the language that you learn from the lap of your mother. When you come to speak in English, you need to learn some skills. And that is very important, very easy. When you go to express or communicate, just think 10 seconds before speaking what idea you want to speak, and then make the circle in the space and put your matter in the circles, and then start speaking. Follow that sequence. It will be easier for you to speak. So when I completed my first milestone, the ambassador came to me and he awarded the pin of competent communicator. And a photo was published in the newspaper with the ambassador. And that moment I started becoming the Toastmaster and becoming famous among the community members. Later on, I became the president. I became the area governor. In this way, the photos started coming in the newspaper, and I became familiar among the community members. Before joining Toastmaster, I joined my engineering forum, which was very active at that moment, as a joint secretary. But I was having a very low profile office in that forum. So I was not given any opportunity to present. But when I started learning from Toastmaster and showcasing my speaking ability, then they realized, okay, this is the person who can master the ceremony of engineering forum. The objectives of the engineering forum was to organize meetings, organize seminars, to exchange the technical knowledge among the members. So I started organizing the seminars outside Toastmaster. And I brought the essence of Toastmasters' norm and Toastmasters' style of conducting meeting in that forum. So many people liked that, but some didn't. Why? Because of the culture of feedback every time, every moment. That motivated the speaker, but still some people objected it. So in Toastmaster, we learn the critical skills. And this is very important in everybody's life, especially when you are doing your job in the job places. Every time you need it. In the last meeting, Bram Moimon presented the critical skills, how to learn it and how to apply in your life. But I learned it in a different way, the critical skills. And it is only 4 questions. If you ask these 4 questions and look for the answer of this question, you are thinking critically and you are a critical thinker. And the 4 questions are like, what if you're going to do some action, what are the strengths of this action? What are the weaknesses and how you will face these weaknesses, overcome these weaknesses? What are the opportunities that you will do this action and you will get in future? And what are the threats that you must be aware of and you will fight back? So if these 4 questions you ask about your action you're going to do, and you find the answers of those questions, you are a critical thinker. In Toastmasters pathways, you have noticed that you can learn the critical thinking, you can learn the distribution skills, your negotiation skills, everything. But how will you learn the confidence? That is the question. There is no written procedure, okay, follow this and you will gain the confidence. But I learned it from my understanding of this leadership skills and leadership pathways, is that when you fail, when you try to do something and you fail, and you come back again, that moment you learn the confidence. If in one go you do, maybe you will not show your confidence. So it is necessary that you fail and then you come back. You don't give up. And that moment, your actions, your reactions, your thinking, all comes to be your confidence. This is really important in our life. So what is next? Where we are going? See, I am almost 16 years in Toastmasters. So think in this way. When you learn, or when you decide to get an education, you go to your universities or institutions and you learn there 4 years, 5 years, and take a degree, and then leave the institution. But once you come in Toastmaster, there is no exit. You cannot go out of this Toastmaster. Take the example, I'm 16 years in Toastmaster. Hannah and Sandra, they are, I think, almost 20 years. Bram Memon, 20 years in Toastmaster. Wow. Tony Bruch is also told that he is almost many, many years in Toastmasters. So what we are doing here, we are actually enjoying the learning from Toastmaster. And this Toastmaster, what we have in future, next step, is that once you are Toastmaster, always a Toastmaster. Your next step, your next destination, the sky is the limit. Over to Master of Ceremony.
Next destination is the sky. And to reach the sky, you need feedback. I'm not Toastmasters Muhammad's evaluator, and they will provide you more about his presentation. There's so much that I will want to say about what he just said, but I'll let his evaluator do that. We have a slight adjustment on the agenda just now. So our 4th speaker will now become our 3rd speaker, and the 3rd speaker, the 4th speaker. So we will be hearing from Toastmaster Luciano, and he will be evaluated by Toastmaster John. So Toastmaster John will be telling us what to expect of Toastmaster Luciano's speech at this time. Toastmaster John, please share with us.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day and fellow Toastmasters. Toastmaster Luciano will be speaking from Leadership Development Part, Level 1, Project 1, and he will be giving his icebreaker speech. The purpose of Luciano is to introduce himself, and learn the basic structures of a speech. The time is 4 to 6 minutes. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Who is Luciano? Who is Luciano? Over to you.
Out of the 7 subjects I did in high school, I received certificate for best student in 5 out of 7. Plus, I got the overall best student certificate in my matric. How was that possible? If 3 years earlier, I was living in a Portuguese-speaking country, and I didn't have good prospects in finishing my high school, let alone go to university and get a chemical engineering degree. How was this transformation possible? Best student in 5 out of the 7 subjects, and the overall best student in my grade 12. That meant that all my portfolios were taken to the Gauteng Department of Education. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my synopsis. How was this transformation possible? That's the key. I left my parents' house when I was 17 years old. And that was 22 years ago. I guess you can calculate how old I am. I will not say it directly, but you can calculate. So I left when I was 17, and that was 22 years ago. I left Angola and I went to study in South Africa. That was scary because I had to speak in English. I was not a very good speaker, and I only had a couple of months of actually schooling in English, learning how to speak the language before going and starting my grade 10 in South Africa. It was scary. It was scary to go and study. I can still remember my first day in class. I was struggling to understand those different accents, because we all know people do speak with different accents. And more difficult for you to understand is when you're not familiar with the language. That becomes difficult. That becomes even more difficult. So that was a nightmare. And I was struggling and thinking, how am I gonna finish my grade 10, let alone finish high school and go to university? I said, this will not be possible. True. How will this be possible? Then I asked myself, my parents invested a lot of money on me. And this is the best that I can do, where I can say, no, it's too much. I had to change my mindset. And I said, I won't take no for an answer. I'll do my best. I'll work at it and be able to achieve everything I want to achieve while studying in South Africa. I came up with a formula that I still use up to this day in my life to succeed. That's the #1 formula that I take that approach and I put it in my daily life. What's that formula? It has 2 items. Key, once I applied, I was able to achieve everything. I was able to become the best student in matric. I was able to go to university, get a chemical engineering degree, come back and start working. The formula is simple. It is, first point, you have to know what you want in your life. What do you want to achieve? Break it down to the smallest thing. Once you do that, then you have to know, number 2, you have to know what are the tools in place for you to get it. All the tools that you have available for you to get it, and then work towards it. That formula will give you the result that you want, which means know what you want in life, the tools that you have available, and that will equate to what you want in life. That's a synopsis, a brief statement of my formula that I used in my high school, university, and I still use to this day in life, and it helps me get what I want in life. How I use that at high school? I managed to get the books for math, science, all the books that I wanted. And I started studying late at night. Then my results started improving, and I was able to get to the list, getting those better results. At university, the same thing happened. I started working late, working during the time off. Saturday, Sunday, stay out late, work out those subjects, learn and improve. That helped me get better. And I still apply that formula on my daily life. And through my workplace, everything that I want to work at and get better, I apply the formula. That gives me the success. And a couple of things that I've put in practice just to solidify the formula is there's a couple of concepts that I've learned. One of them is the deliberate practice from Anderson Erickson. And the other one is the marginal gain concept from Dave Berrison. And those concepts help me emphasize the formula and put that in practice. But what I want to say is, whatever you want to achieve in life, everything is possible. You just need to believe, know the tools, and you'll get that. Napoleon Hill summarizes that where he says, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it's possible. Thank you very much for your time. Over to you, Rico.
Thank you, Luciano, for introducing yourself to Leadership Speak. You will definitely be getting some valuable feedback in the evaluation segment. And now we will hear from Toastmaster Asif, who will be evaluated by Toastmaster Baron. Before Toastmaster Asif comes, we would like Toastmaster Baron to inform us what to expect from Toastmaster Asif.
Morning.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. Toastmaster Asif is delivering a speech from the Pathway Innovative Planning. And this is a level 5 speech. Yes, level 5 speech, and it is called Preparing to Speak Professionally. Preparing to speak professionally typically means that Toastmaster Asif is expected to present a longer speech, longer than a 5 to 7 minute speech. In this, I will be looking out for how he has built his skills in engaging the audience, as well as how he will speak for a much longer time. Back to you, Toastmaster.
And there you have it, strategic risk-taking, the key to leadership success. The key to leadership success, Toastmaster Asif.
Dear fellow leaders, a very good morning and good afternoon from wherever you are in part of the world. When do we think about risk management and risk taking, which is a methodology where you can be courageous enough to take a risk so that you can succeed in life? Well, what I believe is that if you really want to be successful in life and you want to take a risk, then you need to develop a strategic approach towards life. In this particular speech, which I'm going to be presenting today at Toastmasters, imagine this way, that at Toastmasters, if I practice that speech, which I want to deliver it outside of Toastmasters, then I will be able to get a feedback as per today's theme. And that will enable me to understand where are the weak points in my speech, and thereby I can very well confidently improve over my speech. And believe me, I'm like, it's going to be great, isn't it? When I present this speech outside Toastmasters, definitely those mistakes which I would have made over here or outside which would become more costlier for me, I can avoid them. So let me explain and expound on this concept of risk-taking strategy. For this, what I'll be doing is I'll be sharing my screen, and let me see how well the speech goes on a PPT slide. Fantastic. Let me know if you are able to see my screen. Yes, so I received a thumbs up for that. Well, in today's life, the world is going at a very rapid changes. There are so many numerous innovations happening day in and out. At that speed, that the existing models keep on getting disrupted. What was previously a stable environment, whether in business or in the countries, whether it was about talking, communication, traveling, banking, economic development, everything is going under a rapid change. As a result, we are right now in a VUCA environment. The reason is what was in the previous experiences, as per our previous experiences, is not going to be the same in the future. So our past experiences do not reflect what is going to happen in future. And it's becoming more and more complex. Why it's becoming more and more complex? Because, I mean, just think about like our communication itself. We have a smart mobile phone. How many number of features are getting added to a smart mobile phone? It's becoming complex to keep up with these technologies. So are we ready to face these challenges in a VUCA environment? Well, our expectations are just linear, straight, but the realities are completely different. And as a result, what happens is that ideal world, we think that I just want to be relaxed. My job, whatever I'm doing right now, let's say most of you would be employed, or some of you may be coaches, somebody of you, you may be leading maybe a retired life. And you think that the ideal world is like you want to be, we all want to be very happy, right? Relax. You want to be updated of whatever is happening in the world, right? The internet is giving so much data, but that itself, giving you so much data, you think that you are updated, but it is not so. Even the internet, the social media, which you think that is going to keep you updated, many a times it's used against you, and then you are not given the right messages as what is required for you. Family time, of course. Isn't it previously, you would have heard of families like enough for family time, but nowadays, many of the executives are working for long hours and they don't have much of the family time as well. So then what can we do? As a result, what is happening? It's leading to a lot of stress in our life, and there's so much of frustration. There's so much of insecurity. As I said, you are not even sure that whether the job today which you are having is going to be there tomorrow. The company may change their own model of business, and tomorrow you could be out of job. In that situation, what should I be doing? How can I be adaptable to the fast changing circumstances? My skills are getting outdated day in and out. How can I keep up with this new fast changing technologies and keep learning? Well, as a result, it's leading to a lot of worries, problems, doubts we are having. There's leading to a lot of stress, obviously. It's affecting our health and wealth, both. So what can we do? Well, here I would like to introduce the strategic risk management part of it. And for that, first of all, it's very important to understand what is risk. Well, risk is, as you saw the previous slides, there is something which could go wrong. Some harm could come to you, whether it's a job loss, or the adversity is happening to you, you would be placed in a situation where you're not at an advantage and you lost a lot of things. Well, it could lead to an adversity like health issues, and health issues definitely could lead to maybe a job loss or increased expenses on your health maintenance. It could lead to stress. It could lead to even your family issues. There are many families or marriages are breaking because of this. So what can we do? But think about it, like, is it really every day is a big challenge? Every day there is going to be some losses going to happen? No, there is still a probability of it happening. It really doesn't happen every day in and out that you're going to lose your job. There's always a probability of it. And this gives you a silver lining. Why? Because it's only when the actual loss happens, you are having, somebody comes and steals your money, then that's where the loss happens. But there is a probability that somebody could steal your money. This is that silver lining where you have the chance of establishing controls and you can avoid that loss. Well, let me just explain to you very quickly on this one slide itself, what does adversity mean to you, and can we use the same adversity as a framework and say, okay, let me do certain things or acts in a strategic way that it could reduce your challenges towards risk. Well, first of all, very important is to acknowledge that there is a potential that something could go wrong. Because if you are not going to have that kind of a mindset, that if you feel that everything are going to be just fine, let it be. The world is rosy. Then you're never going to get at that particular point that there is a problem could arise. So there are some of the people who think that, no problem could arise, but there are actually issues happens, and that's where the losses happen, right? So let's first acknowledge that there is a potential that there is some loss could happen. We could fall sick, we could lose our jobs, we could, lose our wealth. Somebody could come and steal our wealth. There could a war could happen. But exactly what could be the risk, that needs to be defined. And there is a reason for that. Because if you don't define what exactly could go wrong, that scope, if you don't define it properly, for example, somebody can come and steal my property. What do you mean by, steal your property? What exactly? Oh, yeah, somebody could, for example, come and steal my wallet. Great, understood. How much? Somebody could come and hack my bank account. Okay, that's one kind of a risk. So let me first define that, what all possible things could go wrong. Now, if we understand that something could go wrong, that easily cannot happen unless and until I have some weak points as well. For example, let's say in a store, how could somebody steal some of the goods from a store, departmental store? It could happen because there is no security guard maybe over there as a control. There are no CCTV cameras available for monitoring. It could be that there is no alarm. That somebody is stealing. Those barriers are not made in this departmental store. Or let's say about your bank account. You log into a bank account, online bank account, and you're not made your password secure. That could happen, right? So those are known as vulnerabilities or weaknesses. As a result of that, because there could be something risk happening, there will be an exposure. And what does that mean? An exposure. Exposure, you can think from the perspective that, look, somebody could steal, for example, steal my wallet. That how much am I exposed to? For example, my credit cards or debit cards would be there in the wallet. My maybe your identification IDs would be there in the wallet. Over here in United Arab Emirates, we have your Emirates ID, for example. Somebody could use that to steal our identity. Or a lot of cash could be there in your wallet, right? So what is that maximum exposure which would happen if somebody steals your wallet? Now let's be realistic that, look, every day somebody's not going to come and steal my wallet, right? So that's where the probability I was talking about, that there could be a probability, and that's where the silver lining is there, that not every day everything is going to go wrong. So we need to be realistic that there is some probability of it happening. And if, God forbid, let's say once in a year or once in 5 years, when could your wallet could be stolen? When could your bank account could be hacked? If you are working in an store department, when could your goods could get stolen? Or if you're a coach, for example, when could it happen that your client doesn't pay you money? There are some chances over there. So now you think that, okay, whatever risk scenarios which you defined first has led to, look, I may think that 1 million could be lost, but because of the probabilistic thinking, that risk comes down to, the actual loss comes to maybe 20,000 or 30,000. Now that makes you sound like, initially it's going to be like, 1 million or 200,000 loss. Now it's going to be only realistic loss could be only maybe a lesser amount. So it gives you a calm mind. Then you may start thinking, as I was discussing before, what all controls can I implement so that this kind of adversity could be avoided or minimized at least. And on that basis, you may, on the information which is available to you, and depending on the tools and techniques, like for example, the techniques which I mentioned was about CCTV camera monitoring, or you could have for your online banking more secure passwords, or you could be using a secure website for your online banking, or not even, not doing your online banking through insecure at the, let's say, maybe cafe. You wouldn't be logging in from there. You would be logging into the secure websites and from a secure environment, maybe from your home. Well, it's then that you start making your strategic decisions for what kind of controls you need to implement. Now here, this is very important, the key. What kind of controls you want to implement, the cost of it should not exceed the potential loss that could arise. Think like, for example, you want to reach a particular destination and you are driving through your own car. What could go wrong? There is a probability that, the tires may not function, or the car may not function. And what all you could do? I can have 2 cars along with me running, if one car goes down, the second vehicle I can utilize still, isn't it? What is the probability of that car not functioning? That probability, and what is the loss which would happen if that car doesn't function? Maybe you'll not be able to reach office or whatever to your client. So it depends on that loss which would happen. I'm not going to, be investing in 2 vehicles running around parallelly along with me. But haven't you seen this happening with key important people, like let's say key political, let's say a president of a country? They may be having 3 or 4 cars ready alongside and running together, isn't it? When they are moving, a big caravan moving across along with their own car. So it all depends on your risk thinking as to what maximum risk can happen in your life. Well, there are certain myths around risk management that for example, in organizations, obviously it is about that, okay, risk management is the responsibility of the risk management department in an organization. Many a times, some of the organizations do have a chief risk officer and a huge department itself. But the fact is that risk management is responsibility of all the executives in a department. Likewise, we can think about you as an individual. You're not working in an organization. You're working on your own, being a coach or self-employed. And that's also obviously your responsibility to take care of risks happening in your life. Well, one more thing, which many of you would have heard, is that the more the risk you take, the more is going to be the reward. This is a jargon which you would have definitely heard in the entrepreneurship world, but it's not so. The reason is, what do you think about these people who are sitting on a height? I mean, these are the workers on a very high-rise building construction crane. They are sitting over there. What do you think? I mean, they are taking the maximum risk, isn't it? Are they going to be paid the maximum amount of money? No, it's actually the building constructor who's going to get the big amount. So it's not about that, the more risk you take, the more money you get. It's actually risk needs to be defined, the rewards need to be defined, and the probability that something could go wrong, that needs to be understood. And only your optimized risk is going to lead you to more rewards. And that you can translate it other way around in, for example, if you're investing in share market or bonds, that's also the same thing, analogy which you could use over there. Well, thinking about risk means something is going to go wrong, isn't it? Like my professional work moves around risk management. Day in and out, I'm just thinking about risk. Something is going to go wrong, which means that I'm going to become pessimistic, isn't it? I'm going to be like, oh my God, every day in and out, I'm just thinking that is somebody, in the organizations, somebody's going to steal the money. The systems are not going to work. In family life, I would think that, okay, again, like illness is going to come. Is it really so that it makes me more pessimistic? But the fact is that no, it makes you more confident. The reason is that it makes you more confident. Why? Because you know what maximum could go wrong. What are the probabilities of that going wrong? And then once you know, you have already taken, you've seen that framework and you could take care of it right from the beginning itself. You can implement those controls. And that makes you more confident to take risk, which you are really aware of. So what are the different personalities? Well, as basically people have certain traits, like either some of them are very, very risk averse. Some really go out to seek more and more riskier things, and they are adventurous. And some, like me, are more neutral. So we take our decisions based on data, information, gut feeling as well, and where we can get more money, depending upon the risk aptitude. So what this has to do with Toastmasters, my dear friends? Well, with Toastmasters, if you know, and as I started my presentation with that today I'm giving this presentation over here, definitely after giving my speech, I'm going to get a feedback. Imagine that today you are an amazing audience over here today on this online meeting. Imagine that I get this much of audience by investing a lot of money. And after this speech, I expect that in a real world environment, you're going to pay me a lot of money. And if this speech is not good enough, there would be many weak points in this speech as well. What would happen? Whatever I would have invested in getting a number of audiences, that's my money is going to go to waste, isn't it? That happens in business as well. Like, you just think that, okay, you open a restaurant and then customers are just going to flow in. And whatever you're going to make your product or service, that's all everybody's going to buy that. That's not going to happen, right? But there are probabilities of it. So either in a vehicle, you have an accelerator and you have a brake, both are required, isn't it? So that's what Toastmasters gives you an environment. First of all, it's a safe environment where we come and practice and we can experiment and we could go wrong. So what max could go wrong in a Toastmaster environment for us? What maximum loss is going to happen to us? That's the thought process which we should inculcate in our risk-taking capabilities. Because when you do certain experiments in a safe environment, then that is where it's more you get the more confidence. There is a lot of camaraderie. You would be getting a good feedback, and that boosts your confidence. So whichever thing you are afraid of, because that's an emotional part of it, you can come and experiment in Toastmasters. For example, giving such long speeches, you may be afraid of that, or you are not or you're not so confident about making PowerPoint presentations. Then you can experiment with that as well. What if you may be not confident about your English enunciation, pronunciation? You can experiment about that as well. So this is a safe environment, my friends, my fellow leaders, where utilizing this framework of Toastmasters is definitely going to help you to build those personalities or risk personalities. Understand if you're risk averse or too risk taking, why not come to a neutral state where you're aware of yourself, you have your self-awareness, and you're confident. You know what you want to do. You know where you want to reach. You know what resources are required for you. And you are in harmony with your own self. This is what a risk mindset, a strategic approach to risk mindset requires. Makes you more confident, ready to rock and roll in a VUCA environment. So over to you, Toastmaster of the Day. Looking forward, all of you in our audiences, to send your feedback to me personally as well, while I'm awaiting my feedback from my evaluator. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Absolutely awesome. At Leadership Speak, we are not just attending a meeting, we are investing in ourselves, and we are investing in our fellow club members. Yes, this is the right environment to experiment safely in Leadership Speak. And you will get the feedback that you need that will help you to excel where it really matters. We have come to the end of our speaking segment and all the educational presentations. And soon it will be time for feedback. But just before going into the evaluation segment, we will be launching a poll to vote for the best effort speaker. Madam Zoom Master, could you please launch the poll? There you have it. It's up on your screen. Go ahead and select the person that you think made the best effort as a speaker today. While we wait on you to vote, I have been noting that our timer has been giving us valuable feedback in the chat. She has been giving us the timing of each speaker, and she has been keeping us up to date. Continue to do so for us, to post the times in the chat, Madam Timer. Thank you for launching that poll. We will now hear from our general evaluator. Our general evaluator today is Toastmaster Myrnal. Toastmaster Myrnal will be working with a team who will be helping us to get feedback that will help to boost our confidence, help our speakers to grow and to be able to present even more confidently in their workplaces, at school, and wherever it is, in our families, as is necessary. Toastmaster Myrnal, the virtual lectern is yours.
Thank you, Nicolette. Please clap for Nicolette. Such an energetic PMOD for the day. Thank you so much. I'll just start with one quote. There's one skill that will boost your professional value by 50%. That skill is public speaking. It's quoted by Warren Buffett. Thank you, Tony, bringing to our notice. And I'll start with this point only. We all are here to becoming a better leader and better communicator. And my role is to sharpen both these skills for all the individual persons. Let's begin with our evaluate toast. So I'll call upon the toast Daniel. Daniel, please evaluate toast of our meeting today's Baron. Stage is yours, Dan.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, and good morning, good evening, and to all our guests and fellow Toastmasters. Baron Maktoum, fantastic raising of the toast with great energy, what we are here for, and the theme of the day, leading with a culture of feedback. Very important points were brought out there, and with your quote and an unexamined life, what we get from it, fantastic. It gives us the essence of why feedback is important, and then also brought in aspect of how do we learn. We don't learn in books, but we learn by doing. And the culture is then brought in where we have the feeling of feedback given from everybody else that makes us grow and get better. This was done well. Your stage presence was great. Straight at the camera, looking straight at the camera, addressing all of us, and great gestures also. An area that can make this even better is when you're closing off the toast and the toast itself, using the theme that we had, leading a culture of feedback, would be better if you made it into a sentence, leading in a culture of feedback, so that everybody could say the same, because we got there's a bit of confusion there where you're saying leading culture of, so leading in a culture of feedback would have been great. But all in all, well done. And also asking the members to raise your glass, just go straight into it, raise your glass, open your cameras, open your mics, start your cameras, and this will be well. But well done with it, well done with the energy, fantastic capture of the essence of feedback. We just close with a powerful, straight with a sentence, leading in a culture of feedback. Thank you for this, Baron, and back to you, Mr. Toast, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Daniel, for your in-depth evaluation. You are a great active listener, I must say that, because you capture all the points which is required for the day. Only one request for you, if you can, to one direction to our raising the toast, Baron. So I think one direction is always better. Yes, it's always better. I know that you are always focused on the commendation part, but just one recommendation for the Baron to becoming a better as a speaker, or maybe raising a toast. Now, next is one of the most crucial part in our meeting, because it's time to evaluate Toastmaster of the Day. And for that, I just want to welcome our DTM. Hello. Yeah. So Ray Rivero. DTM Ray Rivero, podium is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator. I will present a synopsis of the feedback that I will present over to Ms. Nicole Miller-Douglas. First, you did a lot of things excellent in the management of this meeting, which is one of the criteria in managing online meetings. Well, how well did you deliver this well-organized meeting? Did you facilitate excellently? And did you use your public speaking skills? I believe you did. You introduced to set the tone of the importance of feedback. And throughout the meeting, you emphasized by using the word feedback. So many times that I really think the word of the day really should have been feedback, not synopsis. But you were passionate and you were enthusiastic and you presented very short, succinct, and cut to the chase type of comments. Your voice came through quite well. Easy to follow, easy to understand. You provided some comments after each speaker. That tells me that you were paying attention to what the speaker was saying. And you even helped one of the speakers to get us off on mute. How many times during an online meeting have we experienced that, both for ourselves and for others? Even as the agenda was adjusted right in the middle of the meeting, you didn't blink an eye. You just came through and you kept through with the team. And that leads to the one point that I think you can work on. This is more of a challenge than something to work on, but it's good for all of us to know. How can I make this meeting flow along? You have things that are in your control, and as a Toastmaster, a lot of things that are out of your control. So that's where working with a team helps, like delegating some of the responsibilities, such as to the Zoom master, being aware of what's going on, working behind the scenes. That's very important for a Toastmaster today. And in the future, as another challenge is, try this role again. But before you do, see how others manage their role as a Toastmaster today. We have examples of our meetings already on our Leadership Speak YouTube channel. And we also have future meetings that you can look at as well. Practice makes perfect. And finally, I loved how you worked on pronouncing the names of the speakers. That is a skill that we tend to overlook, but with a multi-country club like we do, it's very important that we try to pronounce those names right, and you did. Overall, a fantastic job as being our Toastmaster of the day. Over to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Ray, for your synopsis of a role of a TMOD with a critical feedback. Yes, his theme is also that leading a culture of feedback. And thank you for providing in-depth feedback of TMOD. Thank you so much. Now, coming to our next and most exciting evaluator. Yes, our Leadership Speak evaluator. I call up on the stage Toastmaster Sabnam Syed. Please evaluate our leadership speaker, Toastmaster Tony.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially DTM Tony, good evening from my side of the world. DTM Tony delivered an informational and a persuasive speech today. 3 questions were raised and answered in his speech. Number 1, what persuasion can do. Second, how to be persuasive. And third, why is persuasion important in leadership? The very first page of his presentation was simply the explanation of what you are going to be seeing today in his speech and what you are going to understand today. It kind of served as a roadmap for his speech today. With the help of 3 stories and 4 steps, he went on to explain the importance of persuasion. The 3 stories were engaging, were a learning experience. The 4 steps were easy to understand and follow. Then he explained the importance of persuasion in leadership and also various styles of leadership. Now, there were certain things that stood out for me. Number 1, he asked questions and encouraged everyone to reply through chat at various stages of his speech. Second, clarity in presentation. It was a very big PowerPoint presentation, and yet each and every slide was very clear. You were able to comprehend that what is going to come next. It did not give much information like certain PowerPoint presentations give complete information, but no, here only points were given and then he explained everything. Number 3, no one ever gives a background of the authors you're using the quotes of. DTM Tony did that. It only goes on to show his knowledge, and also it gives importance to the authors. at various stages, all the quotes, he explained who the author was. Number 4, the importance of good storytelling. He gave 3 stories and also his own story, and that one particular part in his story where the judge asks him, "Why should I listen to you?" And his simple and effective reply, "I have a story to share." Well, I do have some suggestions. Number 1 is that you are so informative that we want to listen more to you. So it would be even couple of seconds that you can save in finding your presentation in the beginning of your speech would be saved. So we want to listen more to you. Second is humor. Adding sprinkles of humor here and there would make your speech even more engaging and effective. With that said, great content and such good explanation. But yes, just keep the presentation ready and add a little bit of humor. With that, I have understood how to be persuasive in future. Over to you and all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Sabnam. We're always excited to listen from you. In-depth evaluations, and you exactly did today also. You talk about the story, you diverted into that, and each parameter you cover with that. And with that, you always try to follow the sandwich method, commendation and recommendation, and ultimate summary. That process you always follow. I love your in-depth evaluation, and also you talk about the more things. I also echo with you regarding the humorous. You can add some humorous in the speech, but I just challenge you, Sabnam, just give 1 or 2 points how our leadership speaker can add some 1 or 2 parameter where he can add humors for better audience connection. So that part I think you can highlight it for becoming a better connector, because LS speaker means you always looking for a great connection, and that connection is required. Thank you so much, and thank you, Tony. I love your personal story with blank page. I really love these innovations. Thank you so much. Now it's time for our first speaker, Hannah Smith, and for that, I just want to call up on the stage our evaluator, Claudette. Claudette Thomas, stage is yours.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. And a special thank you to Hannah for delivering an inspiring speech on That Is Me. In Tony's speech, he reminded us that a great speaker is inspiring, and that was by Camille Gallo. And yes, Hannah, you were inspiring. Congratulations and well done. Hannah, your content, structure, and organization were well done. You gave us a synopsis of your childhood, growing up on a farm with your family and feeling free like a bird. Then you took us through your days at school, your employment history, raising your own family, meeting your mentor, Jessica, and your journey in Toastmaster. Hannah's inspiring message was that nothing can stop her from progressing in where she is today, a dynamic power. That is what I understood your message was. And your speech flowed well, and it was clear. It was laid, and we were able to follow it clearly, at least I was. And then you tied your closing to your opening and also the title, which was repeated. Your delivery, Hannah, you had gestures, and you did have some voice modulation, and these were effective. Your Zoom presence, Hannah, in terms of your lighting, your eye contact, you came closer to the screen to engage us, and your background were excellent. Thank you. Hannah, what you may want to consider is engaging the audience a bit more, and possible with a rhetorical question or a few, so you can get us more engaged. You had some effective pauses which engaged us, some rhetorical question. And did I miss your takeaway message, Hannah? I will have to listen to the replay, but I believe I missed a takeaway message for myself and the audience. To summarize, Hannah, you excelled at your content, the opening structure and delivery, and your Zoom presence. Consider increasing your audience engagement with rhetorical questions and including a takeaway message. Overall, Hannah, thank you for an inspiring speech. Nothing can stop you from progressing to where you are today. You're a dynamic power in leadership speak. Well done. Thank you once again, and Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you so much for synopsis of the evaluation. And yes, you're absolutely right. You bang on all the synopsis of the story shared by our speaker, Hannah. I love the way you started evaluation. It's a complete package, I must say, with commendation, recommendation, and also summary. And also at the end, you talk about 2 points. She can work on that. I think it's absolutely right for the audience connection. She can ask some rhetorical questions. Only one thing that you may possible just give some example of 1 or 2 rhetorical questions. What kind of questions she should ask in this speech? That will be much more better for our target speaker. Thank you so much for your complete package evaluations. Thank you so much. Now it's time for our second speaker. So for our second speaker, Mohammad Azimuddin, I call upon the stage Queen of State Talk, Sandra Fox. Sandra, podium is yours.
Thank you. What an honor. Azim, I have to say this is the best I've ever heard you. This is the best I've ever heard you. I would have liked the title to be "The Sky is the Limit." I would have liked to hear about, in the introduction, the objective was the reflection, and you've given us a beautiful synopsis of your pathway, the dynamic leadership, I think it is here. I've got it somewhere. And the way you opened up with once a Toastmaster, always a Toastmaster, and here you've been in Toastmasters all these years, recognizing all of the skills and the growth that it brought to you personally. So you got right in there telling us the story as well. It was a lovely opening. Excuses, we all make them. That conversational story style draws me in, and I suspect it draws everyone else in as well. That's what made it natural for you. You are often on stage. Many of us like to be on stage, but when we're on stage and doing a delivery, it's about us and we're not connecting with the audience. Today, you were past yourself. You weren't worried about being on stage. Yes, we know we're on stage, but the important thing is the collecting, being past ourselves. You had a story to tell and you told it. And I loved it when you said the applause. When I go to prison, they all stand up and applause. Hey, welcome, welcome. Hey, everyone, you know. So I totally got it. And then the crushing. So you had some beautiful emotion that I've not heard from you before. That emotional roller coaster could have been so many other places. It was in Toastmasters. Yay, hey, everybody. Silence, please. What? And then to learn it was part of the culture. It was beautiful. The thank you, thank you, thank you. Discovering the culture. Your Zoom presence was really good. And I liked having your agenda really down the side of your background, because that's all you needed to be able to know where you wanted to go next and tell your story for each area. Moving into the story of the death of father and the feedback and how that hooked you into Toastmasters, inspiring you into leadership. This was really a beautiful, beautiful woven story, a synopsis of your dynamic leadership vision and your path. You had confidence, pace, pauses. It was thought-provoking and thoughtful, and I like that. Now for suggestions, I have 2. First off, with the placement of your camera with your Zoom, we don't want to be looking up your nostrils. It wasn't terrible, but you're back. So that means your eyes are down and your nose is up. So we're looking a little up your nose and you're looking a little down at us. So just raise your camera so that when you are speaking to us that you are straight on, not up the face. That's a challenge. The other is the introduction. Craft your introduction. We already knew in the objective, it's a reflection on the path, blah. And then you finish off with the sky is the limit. To me, that would have been your title. And that's where you would have crafted your introduction, around the excitement. So we're ready to listen. Beautiful. I am so happy that you shared so authentically today. Way to go. And I see time is difficult on all the long speeches and on this stuff DTM here that's overtime. Thank you. Back to you, GE.
Thank you so much, Sandra. You are a great example of leading a culture of feedback. And that's absolutely where want as a critical thinking in evaluations. Thank you. I totally echo with you. I think camera positions and slide deck need little bit more improve, and otherwise excellent presentation. And thank you so much, Sandra, for I think certain natural evaluations for any speaker. I hope that this will be beneficial for our targeted speaker and he will improve in the next. Next, coming to our third speaker. Yes, our third speaker, Luciano. First, I urge you, please unmute all of you and clap for Luciano for delivering icebreaker speech for our Leadership Speak Club. Maybe virtual is you can end. And for that, now I want to welcome Evaluator John. John, JFO, podium is for you.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Toastmaster Luciano. Thank you very much for delivering a good synopsis of who you are and the formula for your success in life. Now, I'm going to provide my feedback in 3 parts. First, I'm going to tell you areas that you excelled. Secondly, I'm going to tell you areas or an area that you can work on. And finally, I will summarize. First, I will congratulate you especially for excelling in achieving the objective of your speech, which was to learn how to present, how to introduce yourself to the club, and the basic structure of a public speech. I enjoyed your opening, body, and conclusion. I also enjoyed and you excelled in the clarity of your message. You had a clear body, as I said earlier on, a good opening and a good conclusion. I enjoyed the way in which you opened up your speech by telling us that what you achieved, 5 subjects out of 7, and becoming the best all-round students, and also how you became an engineer. And you introduced us to what were the factors, what made those possible. And you gave us those 2 formulas of how you transformed from that known person to a well-known person. And in particular, you used that message, that formula, to encourage us, for us to always to be successful in life. We need to know, we have to know what we want and to put together the tools that we need to use and to apply them. Thank you very much. It was great. I also enjoyed your gestures, in particular, and all other aspects of our delivery skills, including your tone and your pace. I enjoyed it very much. Now, one area that you might consider to work on is your Zoom presence. I felt that for some reason, you were ghosting in and out. And some of those props that you are showing us were not quite clear. And at times, even when you started with your back turned to us, it was a little blurry. So all in all, I enjoyed your synopsis of who you are and the message that you encourage all of us to use in our life. please consider making sure that at least you work on your Zoom presence. Thank you, and back to you, Madam, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. Thank you so much. Yes, I also totally echo with you. I think only one recommendation is required for our target speaker, and that is Zoom presence. Next time, I think challenge for the speaker to improve the Zoom presence. Now it's time for our final speaker. Yes, Toastmaster Asif, and for that, I just call up on the stage Toastmaster Baron. Toastmaster Baron, please share your evaluation for our speaker, Asif.
Thank you, General Evaluator. To start it off, I have to applaud Toastmaster Asif. Speaking professionally is one word. Professional people's, oh, that's not one word. It's professional people's business. It is not for amateurs, and it is easy to tell if the speaker prepared for it or not. Talk about preparation, knocked it out of the park. Talk about the content and the relevance in your speech, knocked it out of the park, because you spoke about what the title was, highlighting to us. Then you used acronyms and terms, you define them really well. For example, the acronym from the word adversity. Then you went ahead to explain every single word with its meaning and sharing an example of it. Definitions of words like adversity itself, risk-taking, all these we might think that the audience knows, but at certain points you'll find that they might not know, one person in the audience might not be aware. The use of examples and analogies, incredible, because that is how we know what you are saying in our terms, right? For example, when you use the example of the phone, yes, that was a very good analogy. Sorry. And then the icing on the cake, and this is for every professional speaker, the visual representation of what you were saying, the PowerPoint presentation. It was not too crowded. It was just on point with the right amount of words and the right images, and it was flowing with everything that you spoke about. That showed us that you prepared, not only that, but that you are a master at this topic as well as at presenting professionally. Now, Toastmaster Asif, you know what today is for, you know what the theme of the day is, and we are going to get right into that section, and that is the feedback session. All this is only a synopsis of your 23-minute speech, but I will start it like this again. The hook, when you start speaking, the first 30 seconds matter the most. We noticed that a lot of speakers will say, thank you so much, General Evaluator. Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day. This is what I'm going to speak about, and then this, and then you tell us the structure. But in that, you are missing the hook, which could be to tell us something about the information, and then after that, you can come back with the structure. The next I would advocate for is the engagement with the audience, and this could be interactive, for example, telling us to reflect on something within your speech. And then finally, I will have to say the enthusiasm with which you deliver your speech, because I know that you, more than, I'm not sure about everybody else in the room, your professor might be in the room and then I say more than anybody know about this topic, but to show that you love the topic, it would be incredible. So in summation, the content was incredible, acronyms, examples, presentation, and finally having that engagement and that hook and enthusiasm will ace it for you. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Baron. Thank you so much for your in-depth evaluations. Yeah, I totally echo with you. I think audience connection is the most important and most crucial part of any leader. And you have chance to have asked questions from the audience because you have a long duration of speech. Well observation, Baron. Now, this is the end of our all the evaluator. Yes, it's time for the timer. Timer Nurul, please share your report in the chat box. Thank you so much. Toastmaster Narul, you're so on the spot and so quick today. And throughout the meeting, you're excellent. Now it's time to hand over the podium to our grammarian of the day. Zinza, podium is yours.
Thank you, the General Evaluator. I would like to start with a report, the word of the day usage. And the winner is Tony, who used 3 times. Sandra, you followed closely, used twice. Then I had Luciano, Ray, Claudette, Baron. Oh, Minal, you used twice so far as well. The Toastmaster of the day would have used the word of the day, had many opportunities, a lot of time to do it. I didn't pick any usage. We also had quotes, many quotes from Tony. Thank you, Tony, for showing us and sharing the quotes, particularly from Warren Buffett. We had metaphor, also from Tony. They hired a hippie. And from Hannah, free as birds. I would suggest, this is for all of us, considering we come from different backgrounds and not all are native English speakers, is to consider the pronunciation of words, the past tense particularly, the D. We tend to miss that sometimes. I speak for myself, which would help conveying the messages more effectively. Over to you, General Evaluator of today. I wrap up my synopsis.
Thank you so much. Now it's time for small workshop by our trainer Bram Menon, critical thinking in evaluations. Critical thinking in evaluations. Bram, stage is yours.
Critical thinking in evaluations is very, very important. And that is the reason why I'm here to tell you where we did well in our critical thinking and where we need to really think critically today. Let's begin with the speeches from Tony and Muhammad Azimuddin. And I believe Tony's speech, when he began and he told us it was actually his last speech in dynamic leadership, which is to do with reflect on your path, which is what exactly Muhammad Azimuddin has done as well. Reflect on your path, dynamic leadership. Both of them were dynamic leadership, reflection on path. Now, thinking critically, ladies and gentlemen, what is the objective of reflection on your path? Let's read that, which is on the objectives of the speech. It is to present a speech that shares the experience by completing this path, including the progress made, the skills learned and developed, as well as the celebration of achievements for that particular path. And neither one of those we heard about today. I'm not going to, of course, give you an evaluation to correct the evaluators. I'm just going to tell you overall, broadly, where we didn't meet the mark. And here's the reason why we didn't meet the mark on those two. And I'll just use these two as a benchmark, is that we tend not to read the project, especially when we've been a Toastmaster for a long time and we have our DTMs. We try to wing it. And the project clearly states, why did you choose this dynamic leadership? What did you get out of it? Where did you start? And what were the skills you learned and how did you become a better? Was really the reason for this project. I mean, for this reflection, right? And that wasn't followed by either of our speakers. So we need to make sure, and I've seen a lot of our past speakers on reflecting the path have not done that either, actually. Reflection on the path is about reflection on the path and not about a story or whatever. Secondly, the education speaker, Tony, and the Toastmaster of the day were supposed to collaborate on the theme, which was leading in a culture of feedback. And Tony was supposed to speak on leading a culture of feedback and give us an education on what it really meant when we are leading in a culture of feedback, and we didn't hear that at all because the collaboration was missing. Actually, we've seen that in our club past few meetings. The collaboration has not been there, and speakers have just come up in the education speech and done what they wanted to, sliding in one sentence at a time here and there to say, oh, this is the theme. It really doesn't cut it, right? So the reason why, as you know, we've been now here for 2.5 years, almost, more than 2.5 years, is that, so we know what the education speech is about. It is about giving us a 20-minute speech presentation on the themes, and the theme is present throughout the meeting in terms of how the Toastmaster of the Day opens the theme, which was done excellently. The content that was written and posted on social media was done excellently, but the collaboration was missing. It was very transparent. It was missing. Now, the speech itself was about persuasion. So did we hear about persuasion, and how did we hear about persuasion? Let's be a bit fair to Tony here. And so Tony did try his best to tell us about persuasion by giving us the ethos, pathos, and the logos right at the beginning, right? And then he went to the 4 steps, establishing the credibility and all that. Then he went into several stories, 6 styles of leadership, the essence of persuasion, right, and so on. And then he went back to the framework and so on, throwing in the in between emotional intelligence, Alcoa's story, Warren Buffett's story, and so on and so forth. In the end, did I learn about persuasion? No, because I didn't hear about how each one of these people persuaded. What was the thing that they did to persuade, and what were the critical things in persuasion that I could walk away with persuasion? So I would suggest the evaluators listen carefully and not just give a good evaluation. We are in an advanced club, not a community club. And even in a community club, those things we would really catch, right? Sometimes we want not to be direct, but this is an advanced club. So we could step a little bit forward and be a bit direct and really take things into exactly where we need to go, at the path that we are on, rather than it's okay, we can do this and that and whatever, right? So let's begin to think critically for the evaluators and for the speakers. The other thing I would like to say is there's a difference between analyzing a speech and giving feedback, or analyzing an evaluator's feedback and really giving a feedback as to what it is that enables the speaker to think critically. So critical thinking is not an easy thing. Of course, we were not taught that as a subject in school or anywhere else. And here we come in an advanced club, and now we are required to think critically. It's a journey. It's a journey for every one of us, experienced Toastmasters and not so experienced Toastmasters, to begin to think, how did I open my speech? What was the content? How did I conclude? And did the title of the speech match the conclusion? Sink and swim and persuasion was the theme. And then wrap up was about leadership speak and think about leadership speak, right? So those things didn't jive either. Okay. Talking very briefly about Luciano's speech as well, if I may. His speech title was, for example, Who is Luciano? The ending was, however, whatever the mind conceives, it will achieve. And there was a disconnect between the title and how it ended, right? So maybe the title could be something different because it was all about goal setting. The whole presentation that you did, Luciano, was okay, good. It was all about goal setting and your achievements. So the title could have been a bit different, and then the ending could just follow through. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I give this back to our general evaluator for any comments on what I've said. Back to you, Mr. G.
Thank you so much, Brown, for your so authentic evaluations. I think it's a great training, small workshop, but we learn a lot of things. I think as a leading club, leading a culture of feedback is required, and critical thinking of evaluation is a great reflection of all of us. Yes, we are all here to becoming a better persons. And I think that's a great initiative taken by Brahm. I think this session should be continued for the rest of our meeting. I think critical thinking evaluation is much needed in our club. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your so authentic feedback. Now I'm coming to, I know that some of the players who always play a very vital role, but they are always behind the camera. I must thank to our PR Master Paranjit Singh, our greeter, Mary Cousin, and Zoom Master Jyoti Thomas for your amazing job throughout the meetings. Without your support, we could not successfully conduct a great meeting. Now coming to Marcella, thank you so much. You read out all our statement of leadership speak. Only one small request to Marcella, just try to bring some more energy and smile, because Sa actually set a tone for our any clubs meeting. So you should be more energetic. I know you are energetic, and that should be reflection, because everybody always, it's just like a movie. Starting point is always a very crucial. So Sa also plays such an important role. Thank you, Baron. It's totally related with the topic. You raise a toast with leading a culture of feedback and great point of view you put on for our audience. And Timer Nurul, you did a fabulous job today on the point. I know I observed you. You use technology today also as a timer. Thank you so much for trying to so innovative in your role. A grammarian, I think Synopsis is an amazing, I think, word of the day. And most of the, I think many members are already using that. And you also always try to spotlight yourself so that many members can use that. Thank you so much. Next, I think coming to our Toastmaster of the day, only one thing I think, she's brilliant. Nicole is brilliant throughout the meeting. I'm talking about the duration of the meeting. Just only request to Nicole, because we are the advanced club, much more coordination, connection is required to becoming a better version of ourselves. So our group is already there, so better you can connect with the group, so we don't want any last moment. I know sometimes it happens, last moment changes maybe it's happened actually, but you should be much more presentable before the meeting also. I know you are presentable throughout the meeting on camera, but beyond camera, I think that is also important. So that part you can try to bring that. And overall, I think it's an excellent meeting. I already talked about all the speakers, evaluator did a fabulous job. I love the new sessions, a small training session by Bram Menon about the critical thinking in evaluation. I think it's much needed for all the members. And we should be so authentic that everybody should learn that. Yes, still there's a gap is there, absolutely, in the collaboration between the educational speaker and Toastmaster of the day, but that we need to amalgamation, because if you play a role as a catalyst, is always a great reflection of a quality of meeting that we are already did it. After we are the #1 club globally. So with that, maintain the top in all domains. I think that is important. So with that note, thank you. All the best to everyone for all your efforts today. It's an amazing end of meeting number 133. It's time to hand over to our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Nicole. Toastmaster Nicole, back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mirnal, for that evaluation. And thank you, our trainer and coach, Toastmaster Bram, for your feedback. Both of you have provided invaluable feedback that I will definitely be using to help me in leading a culture of feedback at home and work. Given that feedback is critical, I really, really liked how it was an honest presentation of my efforts to connect through collaboration. I appreciate that feedback so much, and I will definitely be working on that in the future. At this time, I invite Toastmaster Natati to share with us her thought of the day on this meeting, leading a culture of feedback. Over to you.
Leading a culture of feedback means creating and fostering an environment where feedback is encouraged and valued, where open communication is promoted, where constructive criticism is given and received with open arms. Feedback is a mirror that reflects our strengths and weaknesses in the eyes, ears, and emotions of the audience. Dispassionate feedback leads to growth, innovation, and ultimately excellence, which we are seeking. This resonates well with what the Toastmaster of the day said, that feedback is the heartbeat for growth. Feedback is the essence of evaluation. And today, every speech presenter has embraced the value of feedback. A culture of feedback, which we have to emulate in every space, is the Toastmasters culture, particularly leadership speak culture, wherein there are round-robin evaluations, because it aims at empowering, it aims at learning and adaptation. It is a culture that promotes the creation of safety nets in which everyone feels heard, encouraged, and above all, motivated to speak up. Leading with feedback is a demonstration of commitment to transparency, communication, community, and continuous improvement. As Tony, today's education speaker, indicated, that a leader is irresistible, inspirational, and irreplaceable. Let us continue to lead and embrace feedback as a gift for unlocking our full potential. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Natati, for that thought on the theme. And we have an exciting segment right now. That's our awards. We will be announcing the winner of the Best Effort Speaker and the Best Evaluator. That's not something chosen by me. It's done as a team. What do we all think about who was our best speaker today and who was the best evaluator? I loved all the speakers. It was difficult for me to choose, but with a little drum roll in the background, our best evaluator today is Toastmaster Stabna. Thank you so much for that evaluation. I listened keenly and I have some takeaways from her evaluation as well that can help me, even though it was intended for someone else. And our best speaker today is Toastmaster Asif. Thank you and congratulations on doing so well today. We thank you for presenting and ensuring that we share in what you have learned by you sharing that with us. Ladies and gentlemen, in Jamaica, we would say all good things must come to an end. This has been a good meeting. And I just want to highlight that feedback transforms our fears of failure into a culture of resilience and continued improvement. As you navigate your challenges, we invite you to develop a culture of feedback where you will become a more confident speaker. You will become more skilled and you will be an adaptable leader. Continue to engage others and solicit their feedback. Now, this, I will present my synopsis by saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And that's what we have been doing here at Leadership Speak. We are a team that go together. I now invite Toastmaster Brown, who will be engaging our guests at this time.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Time to talk to our guests. For those who are still here, that'll be great to see who is here. If I have a look at my screen here, let us see. I see Nelly Kimani there. Hello, Nelly, are you there? So I'd ask all the
Yes,
guests.
I'm here. Yes, I'm here, but I'm not a guest.
Nelly Kimani,
I was here
yes.
last week.
Yes, but
Yeah.
you're still a guest with Leadership Speak.
Yes, I am.
Good. And what are your thoughts about Leadership Speak, and why do you keep attending if you were here last week and you're here this week? What brings you here?
The evaluations. I'll be speaking in my club on Monday. So the feedback that I've had the others being given, I will implement the same.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So you are learning quite a bit here. Would you be interested
Yeah.
in being a member of Leadership Speak?
Last time you told me that I need to be at level 3, and
Yes,
I'm still at level 2. Yes, I'm still at level 2. So that's why I keep
Awesome.
coming. Yes.
I look forward to you completing and joining us.
Yes, sure.
All right, Nelly, Kwaheri.
Kwaheri, thank you.
Kwaheri means goodbye for those who don't speak Swahili. On my screen, I have a Villette. Yes, it is Villette Benjamin. Hello, Villette. How are you? Are you there,
Hi,
Villette?
good day. I'm very well, thanks. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. And what brings you to Leadership Speak?
Well, I saw the flyer in one of the Toastmasters groups. I can't remember which one now. So it just piqued my interest. So I attended, and I'm not regretting attending. And like the previous speaker before me, I think I very much gravitate to the evaluations aspect, because sometimes you could think you have it all together, but it's always good to have the insight of others, and it will help you going forward in terms of doing your speeches, I believe. I have just started my Pathways journey. I have not even done my icebreakers yet. So it was just very interesting to me as well to see that even at this level, that we're the way in which we do our icebreakers to introduce ourselves to different audiences. So that was also very enlightening and very encouraging. So thank you for having me, and I hope that when I get to that level 3, that I can revisit and
Sure.
in another capacity as a member.
Absolutely, Villette. And please do keep coming in the meantime to learn more about evaluations and speaking and critical thinking.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
You're welcome to join us anytime.
Oh, yes, and I should also say that I am from Division E, District 81, and my Toastmasters Club is Sugar City.
St. Kitts, right?
Yes, please.
Good.
Yes. All right, so take care.
Thank you, Villette.
All
We'll
right.
see you next week.
Yes, let's.
On my screen here, I have Altesh Tobias.
Yes, hello.
Hey, Altesh, how are you?
Good, and you?
I'm doing amazing. What brings you to Leadership Speak?
All right. First of all, thank you for noting my name. I'm actually tuning in from South Africa. Atul is the one who had invited me, but also Dan has invited me a few times. But today, due to time difference, I was not able to attend. But today, I logged in halfway through the meeting. But the bit that I saw was quite impressive, and I look forward to actually, coming back and just see how, you do your business. So I've been a Toastmasters for 10 years now. I'm actually about just to get my second DTM, and
wow.
I was in the Bahamas last year. So let me just say that is quite a good space to grow in as a leader and as a communicator. And
Right.
every time I attend a Toastmasters meeting, there's a lot to learn, just even the knowledge that is shared and the experiences that are shared are quite enriching, as an individual.
Oh, wonderful. And I can see from the way you've just spoken that you are an experienced Toastmaster. And those are the sort of people we are looking for in Leadership Speak. So please consider joining us again next week, seeing the full meeting, and then joining us as a Toastmaster. Atul, as you know, is a member now here, and it's good that he invited you.
Absolutely. This is something that I will consider, and I will come back. Yes.
Thank you, Altesh. We'll see you next
Thank
week.
you. All right, thanks. And have a good morning. It's evening here. It's getting dark here.
I understand. All right, take care. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, all the other guests have been here as usual for a number of times, so I will not ask them to give any comments. And I will now pass this on to Toastmaster of the Day to summarize and close the meeting. Nicole.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bram. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters and guests, for joining us right here at the Premier Club for Experienced Toastmasters Leadership Speak. Indeed, leadership speaks in just about every area of our lives. And so we want to be impactful leaders. And that's why we are members of Leadership Speak. I just want to remind us that it's not just living for living's sake, but it's the impact that we make on others that really matters most. When we leave this earth, what will someone have to remember us for? It's the impact that we have made. So we invite you once again to lead a culture of feedback going forward. If that's not something that you have been practicing, start practicing it now. You've heard all the presenters, you've heard all the evaluators. They have given us all something that we can use for ourselves, even though the feedback was directed to a specific speaker. Thank you all for joining us today in leading a culture of feedback. I now call this meeting adjourned. Madam Zoom Master, could you end the recording?
Thank you, Nicole.